Hello tech friends. Today we've got an unusual game that I remember from my youth. This one's called Apocalypse Cow. And when you start a game with a title like that, I think you know the kind of tone that they're going for. This came out in 1996 as shareware. Let's have a quick look at the manual before we dive into the game itself. It's made here by an organisation called Pinata Fatala. Also humorous, and it would have cost you $15 if you wanted to play the game and support the organisation. But it doesn't look like there are any features that have been omitted from the shareware version. Just what they call the nag screens to sort of continually ask you to register. There's some instructions here in terms of how to set it up with sound and things like that. And then we have some information about how you play the game. As it says here, 4.0, playing the game. Apocalypse Cow is a game of two parts: catapult dueling and cow boxing. Yeah, you're right, it is. 4.1, how to win. To win Apocalypse Cow, you must destroy all of the other players' catapult movers. They kind of work like lives in the game, or have other enemies do the work for you. First person to destroy all 6 of his or her opponent's catapult movers wins the game. You'll see how that works in a moment. How to win catapult dueling. You just need to launch the cow and hit the opponent's catapult 6 times, but there are other factors, as it's pointed out. It says, handy tip: if you can't avoid being hit with a cow, launch a cow of your own to intercept it. If you win the cow boxing melee, your cow will survive and the other cow will disappear. Huh? Cow boxing? Yeah, that's right. Okay, this goes proper Monty Python at this point. To win cow boxing, you have to beat the opposing player's cow senseless. To do this, punch, kick, and otherwise abuse it until it's out of life. Careful, each punch and kick sets you a few feet back, and if you fall off the cloud... What? Yeah, of course, cow boxing occurs in the clouds, right? You lose automatically. Cow boxing is automatically activated if two cows collide in mid-air, and it says, warning, some cows are volatile, and then it's got the instructions of how to play. 2 players can play on one keyboard. I love games like this. This is proper sort of couch co-op. Fantastic. Right. Okay, that's enough talk, looking at the manual and so forth. Let's actually play the game. Now, when you try and run this in DOSBox, every now and again you'll try and run it and it will say it can't because the conventional memory is too low at some kind of crazy minus figure. But if I run cmem, conventional memory test passed, and then type cow, we're in. This is the nag screen it was talking about. Apocalypse Cow is not free software, so you can register. They're probably not around today, but $15 well spent. I'm sure you'll agree in just a moment. The game is loading. Nice little loading screen there. And then, I mean, this game gets strange. Here are our mascots, Bacon and PF. Sorry, what? The audio is not great in this game, but just go with it, I say. Look, here we've got a cow, and it's got a pretty funky look about it in front of a volcano, and he's got red sunglasses on and what appears to be a studded collar. All perfectly reasonable. Let's check out these different menu items. That's right, every time you select a new item in the menu, you hear the cow. If we hit about, then we get this sort of splash screen, really, to tell you who made it. And the programming, it says here, made by Matt Godowski and Brian Cooper. I wonder where those people are now. Okay, we've got options. What can we choose? Well, you can choose different kinds of cows. You can have your normal cow. You can have your glass cow, obviously, and your metal cow. And, you know, that can kind of act as a handicap because the metal ones are much stronger and the glass ones are kind of in the middle, and then your normal ones are the weakest. And they take off different amounts of lives if you make a hit. And then arena. We've got junkyard, chasm, metropolis, and volcano. That's really just the background. We can play the game. We will, I promise. And then if I look on the help screen, this shows you how the catapult works. So here's your catapult. You can control left and right, very much tank controls. And then you've got your type of cow. And you've also got rope winding, which indicates the distance the cow will travel, which is constantly going up and then resetting. So it's a bit tricky to choose the amount of power you want your cow to be launched with. I'm talking about this as this is the most reasonable and sensible game in the world. And it is, okay. This is cow boxing, and you can, as you can see, it's like Street Fighter, but it's not in the street, and it involves cows. You've got your different fighting positions and high punch, low punch, and kicking, and careful not to fall off the edges. That seems to happen a lot. And then generally in the game, we've got a few little extra items that pop up. We've got the Piñata Fatala blimp, which bounces cows off it. The sun, which kills 3 catapult movers. That's basically half your lives. Pretty bad news. You've got the Hungry Weasel head, which eats 6 catapult movers. So that's insta-death. And then you've got the moon, which eats cows. All right. Yeah, reasonable. Then we've got some other things that appear in different levels, different arenas. Cactus kills 1 catapult mover, so you've got to avoid that. Dog tracks down and kills 1 catapult mover. Fire kills 1 catapult mover. 3 red bullseye hits improve cow type. Green bullseye hits cause more enemies to appear. But you've heard enough from me. Let's check out the game itself. Here I am on the right-hand side. I'm just showing you sort of generally the basic controls. If I hit enter, that's your cow. And he's launched. There's another cow. And there's another one. So you can see there, if I save up the power, there we go. That's a massive cow launch. And every time a cow lands, it leaves a little, I don't know, what would you call that? A cow death splatter? Not one for vegans, this one, I would say. This one's awful. Yeah, just definitely not vegan or vegetarian friendly, I suspect. And you can see these different bullseyes and things. But hey, I can describe more about this game, but I can't play it on my own. But luckily, I've got someone who can help me out. Let me show you. So here we go. Here's the game in full swing here. There's lots of cow carnage on the floor. Terribly messy. Here's the moon coming down, which is going to eat your cows. And you can see the lives on the right-hand side. They're going down. Those little pegs on the sides of the catapults. I mean, it looks like the floor of a slaughterhouse. It's a terrible mess. There's the weasel popping up and saying hello. And then that is your end game there. You've got your winner and your loser. Well, let's try a different arena and see what we've got. Let's try the junkyard. And let's try out one of the different cow types. Let's change these to glass. And we're off. Here we are, the junkyard. You can see much clearer definition between the areas. You can't move around the entire screen. You can only move in your zone. That's the crashing of the glass. So any hit here with the glass cow, well, that's two catapult movers that it's supposed to take off. Although it's not amazingly accurate. What I will say about this game is the controls are not great. It's tank controls, kind of like the original Resident Evil games, but it's very hard to know which way around your catapult is facing. But the most difficult part is to do with the power. You know, you've got to keep looking over on the right-hand side of the screen to make sure that you're applying the right amount of power to shoot the opponent whilst avoiding everything that's happening on the screen, and manoeuvring around to avoid weasels and try and survive. You know, got to avoid weasels. That's a rule. That's a rule for life. You can't hurt yourself with your own cow, though. I'll say that. So that's quite good. Right, let's try the chasm and let's try metal cows. And I think if you look at the cow on the right-hand side, the little icon for it, it's almost as if it's got like a missile on the back, but it looks a bit like the American flag. Maybe a political point that it's making there. But yes, firing these cows is a lot more dangerous. Be careful when you're hurling your cows about the place. And then here we go. This is the metropolis. As you can see, the metropolis, interesting. It seems to be all roads and not much else. Right, here we go. Cow boxing. Now, you can see here there's a bit of back flipping and things like that. And then there's some punching. All sorts of things are coming off the cows. A toilet, some money, swearing. Yeah, it's a pretty healthy cow fight. And then that cow dies in the game or disappears, and then the other cow continues its flight towards your enemy. It's not to say you guarantee a hit, but yeah, fantastic. The cow boxing, brilliant. I mean, I think I'd like to see just a cow beat 'em up with all the different kinds of cows. You know, you got your Highland cattle, you've got your Jersey cows. Like, you know, they could have different attributes and things, and maybe some sort of milk power-ups or something like that. But yes, there we go. So there we go, Apocalypse Cow, 1996 DOS game, an absolute treat. Keep you distracted for a few minutes there, and then you can go back to your lives. There you go. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.